My name is FC1 Abraham Nwampka. I'm on board the USS McFall, and this is my story. So one day, kind of early in the morning, I'm walking around through one of my spaces. We're going through a little bit of an inspection, nothing too crazy. So as I'm walking through the spaces, I noticed that there was a couple of exposed batteries that was sitting out in one of the spaces. At the same time, I'm walking through the space, I'm kind of looking at the little peanut bulbs on one of the MBTs to make sure that everything was good to go with that. One of the bulbs was out, so I decided to replace that bulb. This happened probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock time frame. So after I replaced the peanut bulb, I placed that peanut bulb inside my pocket. In the space that I was in, I also picked up the 2 exposed batteries. And that's where everything kind of went wrong. On my side, I know that I shouldn't have put the 2 exposed batteries in my pocket, but my thought process at the time was I'm just walking them about 7 feet. So I placed the exposed batteries in my pocket. What I didn't realize or didn't think of was I placed those exposed batteries inside the same pocket that I had the peanut bulb in. As I'm walking, the 2 batteries ended up touching the peanut bulb at the same time. The sound that I heard as I started walking, I heard a loud whine. Started looking around to try to figure out what it was. Before you know it, boom, explosion in my pocket. At that time, inside the space that I was in, there's a little bit of a grating where you can actually sit down on. So I sat down on the grating, started patting my leg to try to get the fire out. The batteries fell out of my pocket. They were both charred, and in between was the peanut bulb that was stuck to them. So shortly after, one of the alarms had gone off up in the space. So by the time I had opened the door, I already had 4 or 5 people standing there asking me what happened. So basically, at that point in time, it was no longer about what had happened. My first instinct was go straight to medical. And I did. My chief followed behind me at the time and basically knocked on the door to medical, showed them what was going on, and they immediately set me up to go to the ER. They had somebody from the ship take me over to Portsmouth Hospital, where that process was a little bit of a lengthy process just to be seen. From the time that I got there till the time that I was actually checked out and had my medication for the burns was roughly 3.5, 4 hours. Basically during that time frame, one of the doctors took a look at my leg. Originally, their thought process was that I was going to end up having to get possibly a skin graft done. Lo and behold, I ended up not having to get a skin graft, which was good on my part. But I did end up with a burn from about my hip all the way down to right below or right above my knee. And it's about 4 or 5 inches wide. So from that, the process of being in the hospital, they had to scrape all the charred skin, take a look, make sure everything was bare, everything was cleaned, everything looked good. The process, as far as the recovery time, that was about 5 to 6 weeks. So they put me on convalescent leave, which ended up not being too bad, just because of the fact that it healed a lot better than they expected it to. My whole thing with it now is, like I said, I knew better. I knew that I should have had those exposed batteries in some type of plastic casing, even if it's transporting it to, you know, as small as 2 steps, because you never know what can happen. So that's my story.